now tuned in
You are now tuned into
to the realest show on YouTube with your host, the Angryman.
What's good? What's going on, everybody? We back in the building yet again for another fire show. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to cover. The main topic that we're going to be discussing tonight, we got to talk about why the Democrats all of a sudden decided on this strategy where they seem to pander to the worst of the black community. Now, if you've been paying attention, the Democrats started this crap with Bill Clinton. The whole he didn't inhale, the whole rumor that, you know, he smoked weed or whatever, all of that goofy stuff. We're going to get into all of that. But I'm going to break down the reason why this has become a trend amongst the Democrats when it comes to the quote unquote black vote. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about some, we also got to talk about a video that I came across where there's actually, it's a video of a lady that is Venezuelan, and she's not in the video. She was at a bodega in New York, and she purchased something with her EBT card, and she messed around and left the receipt, and it shows the balance. We got to talk about that. We're also going to touch on the topic from yesterday, where I was basically talking about how misguided or misguided women can actually lead to the downfall of their men. But we're going to take it a step further. You know, we're going to talk about how they can actually lead to the downfall of the entire community, right? So we're going to get into that. But before we get into that, make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you hit the Cash App and support the show. This is definitely going to be a deep one. We got a lot that we gotta unpack. Shout out to Extra Grands. He said, light your cigar. Salute to AM for another fire playlist for the cook up. Shout out to Tall. He said, Cook AM been getting brain food poisoning from these other channels. Need to cleanse the palate. Yo, you know what? I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. With the exception of, I'd say maybe a handful of content creators, most of the content lately has been crap. Like, you know something that I never thought was going to happen? When I first came to YouTube, there was so much content. There was such a richness of content that everywhere I looked, there was something to watch. There was some sort of information to consume that was not only entertaining, but also valuable and informative, right? Now, I'll do my show. Like right now, I'm doing my show, right? And when the show is over, what I usually do is I'll jump on YouTube and I'll start looking through to see who's live, to see if I can find, you know, some interesting conversation, either to watch or to join a panel and talk or whatever and chop it up. You know what I keep noticing? Every time I shut down the show and then I go look, there's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. Like, we've gotten to the point where we're in an intellectual desert. We're in an intellectual desert. And even the shows that, you know, um have decent conversations, they also indulge in the goofy nigga shit, which means that it's literally a toss up whether or not you're gonna come across a decent conversation. Now, as unfortunate as that is for me as a content consumer, I'm not even gonna lie. It doesn't hurt me as a content creator because it means that the competition is not that stiff. 'Cause I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't really see too many people producing quality content at a high level. Like I could think off the top of my head and just name a handful of people. Is is really interesting to say the very least, right? But let's dive right away into this topic because it's definitely going to be a heavy topic. So, if you go back to the 90s when Bill Clinton was running for president, right? Go back to the 90s when Bill Clinton was running for president. Bill Clinton had a scandal come out. Because if you were actually alive and if you weren't around, just go back and look at some of the older videos. You might be able to get an idea of the climate and what America was like and what was going on at that time. But if you lived it and you remember it, you know what was going on. Back during those times, most politicians, if they wanted to win whatever elected office they were campaigning for, they had to present a squeaky clean image, right? They had to present a squeaky clean image. Now, I will say this, back then it was much easier for them to do that because back then you only had one source of information when it came to political candidates, which was television, the news, things of that nature. You didn't really have social media where people could do their own little investigations and figure out what's going on with the candidates. So it was much easier for politicians to paint this facade, right? So you had all of these different politicians that wanted to present the best image possible. So basically, it's going to be a guy, he's going to have a wife, and he might have one, maybe two children. And every time you see them, they're going to have the campaigns where they're all about family. They're all about, all of the qualities that we would call, good, wholesome American, ideology, right? In fact, I'll give you a couple examples of some of the things that they do. There was a guy, I think his name was Dean something, I can't remember, but he was running for president and he was actually a pretty decent candidate. And he was on, he was at a rally and he got really excited and he said, "Ah!" Right? In fact, Dave Chappelle made fun of it on Chappelle Show, right? And keep in mind, this is the early 2000s, right? Just to show you how far we've come, right? There was a time where that's all it took. Howard Dean, thank you. There was a time where that's all it took for you to basically lose all your support. He lost all his support simply because he said, "Yeah, and we're gonna go to Boston, and we're gonna go here, and we're gonna go here. Yeah!" Like, that was enough. That was enough for him to lose his support, bro. Shout out to Tall. He said, already read that one, my bad. Shout out to 4K TV, said, heard about your channel from Coach Greg Adams. Your live streams, A1 Unc. Appreciate you, man. And shout out to my man, Coach. Coach always be showing me love. Appreciate you, Coach. Shout out to all the free agents over there, too. So that's all it took, right? So whenever there's a presidential campaign, the presidential, the people that work on that campaign team, they have experts that, they study these polls and they do their research to try to figure out what, they're trying to figure out how to sell this candidate to the American public. Another example is whenever you see politicians talking, they'll do this. And some of you probably wonder, why do they do that? Why do they take their thumb and do like this when they're talking? Because as a human being, whenever you want to drive home a point, you usually point. Yeah, I told him this and I told him that and da-da-da-da-da, right? However, these political researchers, these freaking salesmen, they figured out that pointing at somebody is a very aggressive thing to do. It's threatening, right? It's a threatening, aggressive thing to do. You feel me? In fact, this goes all the way back to more primal days. You feel what I'm saying? That's why I don't know if y'all remember the first, the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, right? If you remember when the father had dementia and he went outside and he got in that guy's car and was trying to drive it and was wrecking it, and the guy came out there and started yelling at him. Caesar looked out the window, and remember, Caesar's an ape, right? What made Caesar mad is when the guy was pointing at him. The guy was poking him, right? Because in our, primal mind, pointing is a bad thing. You feel me? So what they do is they tell politicians, because a lot of people have a bad habit of pointing when they make a point. So what they do is they train and teach the politicians to do this instead of this. This doesn't really mean anything. They're just doing this to avoid doing this. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm trying to get you to understand I'm trying to get you to understand the reasons why they go through all of these measures and they do all of these things because they want to present the presidential candidate as the best possible image so that they can get the most possible votes, right? All of this was true until one thing happened. One thing happened, right? Or at least I pinpointed back to that. I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but I noticed it as a kid because, like I said, I was a strange child. Like, I paid attention to politics even when I was a kid. When you're in school and they have the mock elections where, the kids get to vote for the president and stuff. I used to love shit like that. Like, I really liked politics. I really liked the intricacies of it and why they do certain things or whatever. Not necessarily them, passing legislation and stuff like that, but the personalities that go into politics and the way they carry themselves and the things that they do. It really interests me because I'm really a student of human nature. I love to dissect why people do certain things, right? So, even back then as a kid, I used to watch Rush Limbaugh, who constantly, of course, talked about politics. But there was one event that happened that changed everything, in my opinion. I haven't heard any other political commentators say this. I haven't heard any other talking heads say this. This is my own personal opinion. The thing that changed everything is when the Republicans found out that Bill Clinton smoked weed when he was in college. So when the Republicans found this out, they put it out there to try to damage Bill Clinton's image and try to damage his presidential campaign for the reasons that I just stated. During that time, they wanted you to have a squeaky clean image. And as we saw with Howard Dean, all it would take is one little thing that could mess up your presidential campaign. Now, the reason why it messed up Howard Dean is because his constituency was more conservative. So him jumping up there yelling, that didn't make sense. Now, at the time, because Clinton was before Howard Dean, but at the time with Bill Clinton, the Republicans thought that this news of Clinton smoking weed would damage his campaign, would damage his presidency. He was going to be out of there. Nobody want no weed smoking president, right? Or at least that was the thought process at the time. And we know the Democrats were scrambling because he immediately jumped out there and said he didn't inhale, right? Oh, I was at a party and, they wanted me to, so I succumbed to peer pressure and I pretended like I was smoking, but I didn't inhale. This is how you know the Democrats knew that that was going to be damaging, so they had to do some cleanup. Cleanup on aisle 6.
Embarrassing.
They had to do damage control. But what they found is that it didn't hurt Bill Clinton. What they found, and nobody wants to admit this, what they found is that Bill Clinton started getting more support from the black community because they thought he was a weed smoker. Now, once his political campaign, once his researchers found this out, he leaned all the way into that shit. He still maintained that he didn't inhale, but he stopped explaining because he realized that the rumor of him smoking weed was benefiting him. This is where you get Bill Clinton at the Arsenio Hall show, and I think it was Arsenio, if I remember correctly, with shades on, playing the saxophone. This is where it all started. This is where it all started. Now, back then, it was a little more moderate. And we're going to break down why it was more moderate back then compared to today, where it's just blatant. We're going to break it down, right? Because it goes along with one of my other theories that I've expressed here numerous times. Shout out to Cam. Appreciate you. It's Angryman 2024. Yeah, I figured it was Arsenio. I remember because I was there. In fact, it became such a thing. If you remember the show Animaniacs, during the intro of the cartoon Animaniacs, they've got Bill Clinton as a cartoon playing the saxophone with the shades on. This became a part of pop culture. In fact, because of the rumor, and black folks should have been insulted back then, but they wasn't. Because of the rumor that he smoked weed. Because of him pandering to the black community by going to Arsenio, which at the time was one of the most popular talk shows in television. In fact, I think that Arsenio only comes in second to the Johnny Carson show. depending on who you talk to. Because if you talk to most black people, they're going to put Arsenio above Johnny Carson. Arsenio had one of the biggest shows in the world, right? But because Bill Clinton had these rumors of weed smoking, and because he went to Arsenio Hall, which during the time was unheard of for a presidential candidate to do something like that. If you know, you know. If you were there, you were there. For him to go to the Arsenio Hall show, sit up there with shades on and play the saxophone, it was unheard of for a presidential candidate to do that. Right? Because most presidential candidates don't typically play the saxophone or the bass guitar or the trumpet or any of those things that black folk identify with, right? But because of the saxophone playing, because of the weed smoking, they started calling Bill Clinton the first black president. Y'all remember that? They started calling Bill Clinton the first black president. Shout out to Tall. He said, Wacko packs away the snacks while Bill Clinton plays the sax. Yes. 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 They started calling him the first black president. So from that day forward, it set a precedent. From that day forward, one of the main strategies of the Democratic Party is to try to identify with black people based on what they believe is black culture. Right? In fact, I'm going to prove to you that it's not what they believe is black culture, but it's black culture. Right? So from that, this is where you get Hillary Clinton on stage with Jay-Z and Beyonce. Because you got to remember, between Bill Clinton to Barack Obama, you had 8 years of Republicans. Right? If I'm not mistaken. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Between Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, you got 8 years of George W. Bush. Right? Because if you really sit back and think about it, Bill Clinton was before George W. If you remember, Hillary was going up against Barack Obama back then. So you were supposed to get, just think about this for a second. I want you to really think about this for a second. If Hillary Clinton would have won, for the majority of y'all's lifetime, any of you that are Gen Xers, for the majority of your lifetime, you would have had either a Bush or a Clinton as a president. You never thought about that, did you? For the majority of your lifetime, you would have had either a Bush or a Clinton. Because you had two Bushes. You had George Bush Sr. And then after Clinton, you had George Bush, you had Jr. And then you would have got Hillary. And Hillary might have gotten, if Donald Trump hadn't decided to run for president, you would have definitely got Hillary. And you would have had Hillary for 8 years. This is the reason why they hate Donald Trump so much. This is the reason why the Democrats hate Donald Trump so much. Because he interrupted the Clinton dynasty. Nobody interrupted the Bush dynasty. Right? Because didn't you get 8 years of Bush Senior? Or was it 4? I can't remember. Did we get 8 years of Bush Senior? Four. Okay. Yeah. I'm bugging. Because right before him was Reagan, right? Because he was Reagan's VP. So right before Bush Senior, you had Reagan. Right? So you had 12 years of Bush and then 8 years of Clinton. You would have had 16 years of Clinton. Right? You would have had 16 years of Clinton, right? So this is where you get Hillary Clinton on stage with rappers. This is where you get Hillary Clinton sitting down with the Breakfast Club, talking about how she keeps some hot sauce in her bag. She got hot sauce bag swag. Right? And the only reason she wasn't able to win that first time is because the Democrats understood what's better than pandering to the black community. I tell you what, having an actual black candidate in Barack Obama. Right? And that's where you get my president is black, my Lambo's blue, and I be goddamn because of them things too. And even as a black candidate, Barack Obama pandered hard as hell too. With the playing the basketball playing, the walking with the cool walk, the using slang, the dapping people up the way we do in the hood, like all of that shit. Right? So fast forward, you got Joe Biden. You got Joe Biden sitting down with Cardi B. And the thing about Joe Biden is Joe Biden wasn't good at the pandering. And the reason why Joe Biden was not a good panderer to the black community is because he's an old racist. So anytime he tried to do anything that was, I'm going to try to let them know that I identify with them, it came out racist. Because that's what happens when a racist tries to pretend to be cool with black people. It always comes out wrong. And the reason why it comes out wrong is because his viewpoint on black people is racist. He has a foundation in racism. So when he looks at black people, he's going to say the inappropriate thing, even though he thinks he's saying something to identify. Y'all give me 1 second. Every time I get to cooking up, the damn internet want to start tripping. So back to what I was saying. Fast forward to Joe Biden. Joe Biden has more difficulty pandering to the black community. It's part of the reason they did not pick him in the first place. Keep in mind, Joe Biden only got in there because he was Barack's VP, as far as the Democrats choosing him, right? Before Barack Obama chose him as a VP, the Democrats would not choose him as the presidential candidate. He's been trying to be president since back in the day. But the reason why they didn't pick him is because they knew Biden was an old racist. They knew if he got up there and tried to pander to the black community, he was going to turn the black community off. And this is becoming Biden's legacy. Because Biden ends up becoming president only because he was VP of Barack Obama. You feel me? And so now they're trying to do the same thing with Kamala. Because they didn't pick her either. Not originally. She only ends up becoming VP because Biden picked her, right? So, like I said, Biden has more difficulty pandering to the black community because his foundation is a racist one. So anytime he says anything to try to relate, right, to black people, it's going to come off racist. So when he says to Charlemagne, if you don't know whether you're going to vote for me or Trump, then you ain't black. And what he really was trying to say is, why would black people vote for Trump when he's racist? You should be voting for me because I was Barack's VP. I'm not racist. That's really what he was trying to say. But like I said, his racism, it can't help but leak out every once in a while, right? So then you fast forward to Kamala, and you got Kamala out here with Meg the Stallion twerking. You got Kamala telling the black community that she's black, even though she has previously identified as an Indian American. You got Kamala going to a rally in Atlanta, Georgia, and using some sort of weird pseudo-Southern accent, which I'm trying to figure out where did that come from, because as far as I remember, you were brought up mostly in Canada and then later in California. So where did this Southern accent come from? By the way, I'm also finding it very interesting that the vast majority of the people who said Drake isn't black and he's not part of the culture because he's a half white Canadian are also the same people that are voting for Kamala Harris, who originally identified as an Indian American, even though she was brought up in Canada and later came to California. I find that interesting, but we're not going to get into that. Same people that hate Drake love Kamala. I don't understand it. You know, That must be the Negroes that have that high level of NNA, right? But the pandering has gotten progressively worse. The pandering has gotten to the degree that it is flat out insulting. And there are a lot of well-to-do black people and even some less well-to-do black people that are getting offended. Because they're like, is this what they think of us? Now, this is what's so funny about this, right? What is infinitely hilarious about this is that you have countless black folk on TikTok that have come out offended by the Atlanta rally. They're offended that she had Meg Thee Stallion out there performing. And this is what they're saying. There's a couple of things I noticed in their assessment that is both telling and a bit confusing. You have countless black people that have a problem with Meg being there, but they don't have a problem with Meg Thee Stallion. Someone explain to me how that works. Because you know what I keep seeing them say? Why would Kamala have Meg Thee Stallion out there? And don't get me wrong, I love Meg Thee Stallion. Why did Kamala think it was appropriate to have Meg Thee Stallion out there? I'm pretty sure they paid her well, and I'm not mad at her. She should get her money. What? How can you not have a problem with Meg Thee Stallion, but also have a problem with them picking Meg Thee Stallion to be there? And I'm going to dissect that in a second as well. Because I think I know where that comes from, right? But that's one of the things I noticed that caught my attention. The other thing that caught my attention is when they say, is this what they think of us? They're like, yo, if you go look at that Atlanta rally and you notice how she brought out Meg Thee Stallion, this lets you know what the Democratic Party thinks of us. No, you silly Negro. First of all, what you need to understand about presidential campaigns is they have experts. They have people whose only job is to research the targeted demographic, to figure out an angle, to figure out an in, to win your vote. So guess what? It's not that they have Meg Thee Stallion on that stage because they think negatively of you. They have Meg Thee Stallion on that stage because they know you. Would y'all like me to explain that again? Would y'all like me to break it down for you even more? See, Lance said they think niggas is ignorant. No, it's not that they think niggas is ignorant. They know niggas is ignorant. They don't think shit. They know. They don't think shit. They know. In fact, let me pull up this video. I want you to listen to what they said about. I want you to listen to what they said about Megan. What the one chick said about Megan. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Right here. Watch this. Watch this. And I played this the other day, but watch this.
I'm just wondering when the black community gonna realize the Democratic Party does not take us seriously. Or more so, they don't think that we're smart. Their strategy for decades has been hiring black entertainers to endorse them. Fast forward 2024, they're still doing the same thing. It is even worse. Because now they sprinkling a little bit of ratchetness into it for relatability. And I'm just like, last election, Joe Biden's campaign for the black vote was telling black people that they not black if they don't vote for him. And getting some strippers to twerk with the word vote wrote on their booty. And also, for some odd reason, hiring Cardi B to endorse him, even though Cardi B's not black, but she was used to get the black vote, not her own people vote, but our vote. Now we got Kamala Harris throwing a rally and Megan Thee Stallion is performing. Megan Thee Stallion is twerking. And y'all swear to God, this is to reach the black youth and get the black. Listen, these people don't take us seriously. They are not twerking and dancing and partying to get anybody else's vote. They are discussing policies,
Watch.
new laws, bills, resolutions for their community.
Now watch. She's doing good so far. Watch the switch up.
For their community. They don't do that for us though. Kamala Harris literally got in office and told y'all that she's not finna push nothing for black people just because she's black. That should have let y'all know right then and there. They only want the black vote for numbers so that they can get elected. But they ain't got nothing for black people. And no, this is not an endorsement for Trump or the right or Republican Party. This is simply a critique to Democrats to be more serious when engaging with black American voters. We are not a monolith. We're not all ignorant. We're not all party heads. And matter of fact, there's a time and place for all of this. We can party and we can get serious about policies and laws to protect us. You do not have to dumb yourself down to engage with black Americans. And bless Megan Thee Stallion's heart. Because while I know it was a big thing for her to perform, it just made her look like a puppet to me. She shouldn't have showed up as Megan Thee Stallion. She should have been Megan Pete. She should have had a speech. She shouldn't have been doing TikTok dances. Like, I don't know, y'all. I'm just so annoyed. Nobody.
She said she should have showed up as Megan Pete, as if there's a difference between Megan Pete and Meg Thee Stallion. Right? She said she should have showed up, and she said, "Oh, Megan, bless her heart." Right? Oh, Megan, bless her heart. Right? Megan, bless her heart. Right?
Okay, just in case you did not know it, on yesterday, Kamala.
Trying to find the other one where the chick said she didn't have a problem with Megan.
No, I'm not joking. But let me show you what is a joke.
Somebody call Rihanna, I'm about to drive with him. He with the skate cause he getting the wild women. Put the legs on his head, now he loves high with him. You will never catch me calling these men daddy. I ain't lying, grandma, just to make it.
Now, here's the thing, right? Because this is what they're saying. Shout out to Lucid Experience. He said black men have been saying these things for a long time, but it's falling on deaf ears. They all a bunch of Johnny-come-latelys. Shout out to Jeep Red Boy, said 100% AM was typing, trying to beat you to it. Hold on one second, you guys. We'll get back to it in a second. Shout out to Aaron. Aaron said Howard Dean was a raging communist in 2004. That was the capstone of a campaign even the Democrats thought was way too far left at the time. He was the leftist Democrat. Yeah. Shout out to Aaron again. He says suggestion for your street conservative shows or your serious social issue discussion shows lead in with fair use caption Paul Harvey April 1965 broadcast. If I were the devil, Mr. Harvey was a BINO for BINOs and Rush Limbaugh's idol. Okay, I'm gonna check him out. Appreciate you. Shout out to Bill O coming through as a sponsor. Bill O says, salute AM, great show.
Here we go again. $100 boss up. Going down. Stack up and match up.
Yo, shout out to KGY for being a sponsor as well. Appreciate you.
$50 boss up. Stack up and match up.
Shout out to Mogul Mays. He said, notice how they particularly target BWs. Of course. And I'm going to break down why they target BWs. Shout out to Paula. Said, not being funny. Literally, all I had to give, I appreciate you. So, the reason why they target black women is because, let me break down why they target black people in the first place. Okay? Let's break down why they target black folk in the first place. Some of y'all might not know this or understand this. Don said they don't take us seriously because we don't take us seriously. That's facts. Shout out to Jeep Red Boy. Appreciate you. So, first things first. Before we get right back to the to what I was getting ready to say, right? The reason why they pander so hard to the black community is because in America, you've got 200 some million white people, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And whenever there's a presidential election, a lot of times it's split down the middle. A lot of times half the white voting population is voting for Democrats and half the white voting population is voting for Republicans. So what ends up tilting the scale in favor of one of the candidates is the minority vote, primarily the black vote, right? So a lot of times the person that can tip the scales with the black vote, they're going to win. This is why they pander so heavy to black people, even though you represent a small portion of the population, right? This is also why the black vote is so important. This is also why it is the most ridiculous running gag and the most ridiculous cliche that black people never get anything for their vote. You are quite literally one of the most important voting blocks in politics. And you never get a damn thing for your vote except some broken promises, some symbolism, and some other bullshit. You know, my president is black, my Lambo's blue. Right? Which is why it's utterly ridiculous to hear any black person say, well, what's the point of me voting? What's the point of me voting? Saying that there's no point in voting as a black person is like saying there's no point in driving a car simply because you get lost every time you try to go somewhere. Why are you mad at the car for your inability to read a damn map? Why are you mad at the car for your inability to use GPS? Why are you mad at the car for your inability to follow directions that someone gives you? And let me break that down for the people in the back that's a little slow and hard of hearing, right? The problem is not your vote. The problem is how you use your vote. Just like the problem is not the car. It's how you're using the damn car. Okay? The reason why the reason why you're mad about voting and saying that you don't want to vote because you never get anything for your vote is because you never demand anything for your vote. And your solution, and this is how I know that there's something wrong with your thinking. There's something wrong with the way Negroes think. Abstaining from voting is not going to get you anything from either candidate. Because once you abstain from voting, now you're a non-factor. Why should I try to talk to you? You don't even plan on voting. You're not one of my constituents. You're not one of my opponent's constituents that I can win over. You're a non-factor. See, if you were smart, instead of playing the Democrat-Republican game, what you would do is you would form your voting block and you would say to the Democrats and the Republicans, hey, this is what we want for our vote. We want this, 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 and this. And whichever one of you does it, we'll get our vote. We need a good faith promise that you're going to do X, Y, Z. Because if you don't do X, Y, Z, when it's time for you to get reelected, we most certainly won't be voting for you. We're going to give our vote in the other direction. This is how you get them to give you what you want. Not by abstaining from voting, but threatening to give your vote to the other guy. Other groups of people understand this shit. If you want the Democrats to stand true to what they claim they're going to give you black folks, all you got to do is threaten to vote for Trump. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. But there's a reason that you won't, which goes back to the reason why that young lady sat up there and said that they think we're a joke by having Meg Thee Stallion come out there, but she still likes Meg Thee Stallion. You have absolutely no idea how many people, how many women I've heard say that. Even guys I've heard say that. Look, I don't got a problem with Megan, but I just don't think she was appropriate for that situation. If she's not appropriate for that situation, because the whole reason they brought her out there was to be black representation. If you're ashamed of her representation, why the fuck do you support her in the first place? If you're ashamed of her representation, why do you like her in the first place? It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense whatsoever. Shout out to Stan. Stan said the reason why they play on black folk is because they know the majority of us don't think logically or informatively. We are willing to give our leverage away for nothing. Shout out to Zero Fallout. He said for the show. Shout out to Lamaris. Appreciate you. So you got these countless Negroes jumping out there talking about some, I'm ashamed that they would have Meg Thee Stallion come out there. This is a joke that they had Meg Thee Stallion come out there. That was ridiculous. They had Meg Thee Stallion come out there. There's a time and a place for everything, and they had Meg Thee Stallion come out there. And don't get me wrong, I like Megan. Don't get me wrong, I'm supporting her. Don't get me wrong, she got to make her money. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure they paid her enough. Get off the fucking fence. Pick a side. You're either on the side of decency or you're on the side of debauchery. In other words, if you're somewhere shaking your ass to a Meg Thee Stallion song, you shouldn't have had a problem with her being up there. See, the reason why I have a problem with her being up there is because I don't listen to her. I don't listen to her, and I don't think she is the proper representation for black people. So not only do I have a problem with her being up there, I got a problem with her in general. Shout out to Jerome, said the problem is AM, the demands that black people want are a lot of times ridiculous, such as reparations. Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. That's part of it. But black people thinking like that confirms something. It confirms that the Democrats are not wrong in their strategy. They're not wrong. The reason why, let me break it down like this. And for some of y'all, this is going to be, some of you that are watching, because I know I got some haters watching, this is going to be hard for you to understand. People in politics are logical thinkers, analytical thinkers, strategic thinkers. The people that are on Kamala's team are logical, analytical. So guess what? If you got countless black people right now saying, yeah, I don't think they should have had Meg out there, but, don't get me wrong, I like Meg the Stallion. If they know prior to this event that the black community likes Meg the Stallion, wouldn't it be logical to have her there? If they know that the black community don't have a problem with twerking, you can't have a problem with twerking, because every time one of us brothers get up here and say something about it, you curse us out. You defended it. These the dances we used to do in Africa. Your ass used to do them in Africa. I don't know nothing about that. You niggas have been defending this debauchery for the better part of a decade. And you're mad that a political campaign is trying to identify with you through the debauchery that you socially accept? Make it make sense. Shout out to Mogul Mays. He said the same way we approach business, group economics, family structure, and everything else, the split came right with LBJ. After that, we've continued into this situation that we're in now. Oh, I get it. This is what y'all thought. You thought that the Democratic Party was going to treat you with dignity and respect. Like the chick said, if they were trying to get the vote of the Asians, they're not going to have somebody out there. They're not going to find the worst of Asian culture and have them out there. If they're trying to get the Latin vote, they're not going to have the worst of Latin culture out there. They're not going to see the problem that you Negroes don't understand is the worst of your culture is the representation of your culture. Those other groups are not represented by the worst of their culture. This is what I've been talking about forever. This is what I've been saying forever. It has you Negroes calling me a sellout, calling me a coon, calling me all of this bullshit. But it's typical. It's typical of niggas. You run around here promoting weed smoking, fornicating, baby mama-ism, single mama-ism, welfare, gang banging. You promoting all of that. And then you get mad when someone calls you out on it, the moment you started liking Bill Clinton after you found out he smoked weed, guess what that said to them? Weed smoking is part of their culture. Weed smoking is important to them. When you cheered him on, when he was playing the saxophone, oh, music is important to them. Music is part of their culture. When you said you was going to vote for Hillary Clinton, even after she insulted you with the, I keeps me some hot sauce in my bag. And I don't even know if y'all know that. But guess what? She literally did something that was on a TV show way before she ran. Let me ask you a question. When she says she keeps some hot sauce in her bag, did that happen before or after the Martin show was off the air? I'll wait. Did that happen before or after Martin was off the air? Shout out to Yoshi K. Appreciate you. This instance right here.
No more questions? They said no, she has to go.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my. They said no, she has to go.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my bag, swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now listen, I just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people.
No, when I saw that, I just remembered the episode of Martin when they went to the ski lodge and Tommy's coworker that was a white lady that had a black chick's name. I wish I could find the clip, but they getting ready to eat the food, and Cole ate some. He's like, "What, Gina? What's up with the food?" And Gina said, "Some people might not like their food spicy." And the white chick said, "Ooh, I likes my food spicy. That's why I keep some hot sauce in my bag for my black-eyed peas." Where she got the shit from? Aquanetta, thank you. That's where Hillary got it from. She literally got it from an episode of Martin. And nobody caught it. Nobody caught it. Nobody caught it. Nobody caught it. I keeps me some hot sauce in my bag for my black-eyed peas. So shout out to Caesar. Shout out to T-Bone. So when we really look at it, black folk don't have the right to be offended. You can't be offended because the Democratic Party is only doing what their research shows. Do y'all really think that they're sitting around guessing? Is that what y'all think they're doing? Do y'all genuinely think they are sitting around guessing at what they believe black culture likes? Do you think they're just going and looking at the Billboard Top 100 and from the Billboard they're saying, ooh, they like Megan Thee Stallion? Do you think that's what they're doing? No. They are doing research. They are doing research. And the reason why their pandering has gotten progressively worse, the reason why their references to your community have gotten more and more ghetto is because your community has gotten progressively worse. Your community has gotten more ghetto. Thank you, Treese. It's called market research. In fact, speaking of Martin, that's what Gina did for a living. Market research. Kamala's not going to stop. She's not going to stop making ghetto references. She's not going to stop. And the reason why is because they have done the research. They have a game plan. And their research has shown them that y'all a bunch of ghetto trifling Negroes. That's what it's shown them. That's why it's funny whenever you Negroes get up here talking about who's invited to the cookout. Man, ain't nobody got to worry about not being invited to the cookout. I don't care what race they are. All they got to do, all the dudes got to do is show up with their pants hanging off their ass, hat turned to the side, car bumping music, speak a little slang, and niggas gonna dap them up. Come on, you can come in. All the women got to do is show up half naked, be able to twerk with some weave. They gonna automatically get invited to the cookout. The only people that got to worry about never getting invited to the cookout is Larry Elder, Jesse Lee Peterson, Thomas Sowell, Candace Owen. Basically, any Negro that got any goddamn sense, they the only ones that got to worry about not being invited to the cookout. Hell, Bobby Adeloff will get invited to the cookout. And she don't even pander. So what are we talking about? Shout out to Zero Fallout. He said, like the old saying goes, they got the pad and pencil on your behind. Facts. And look, you can get mad at me if you like. I really don't give a damn. I know how you Negroes operate. I know how the Negroes in the hood operate. I know how you operate. And guess what? The moment The moment, this is how bad it is. The moment Kamala Harris identified as a black woman, that guaranteed her a portion of the black vote. And for those of you wondering why they not only pander to the black vote because they know the black vote will sway the election, but they pander primarily to the black women because within the black community, the women outnumber the men. The women outnumber the men. So whatever direction the women vote, that's the direction the black vote goes. So that's why they pander to them. They don't care about black men. They don't care about your vote. Because at the end of the day, your vote doesn't matter to them. If the Democrats can get the women to vote for them, they'll win the black vote. But you know who does care about your vote, black men? The Republican Party. Because if they can pull your vote, if the Republican Party can pull all of the black male vote, you feel what I'm saying? They still got a shot at winning. And this is why the strategy of black Democrats is to shame black men who don't vote in the direction that their women vote in. That's why that's the strategy. That's why they're trying to come at you on some, if you vote for Donald Trump, you're basically a traitor to the black race. That's the reason why they're doing that. And in this day, it's even worse because you have a portion of black women that are going to vote for Trump because, quite frankly, the past 4 years have sucked. In fact, my prediction is Kamala is not going to win. Why do I believe she's not going to win? I don't believe she's going to win because I don't see the majority of white men voting for her. I don't see the majority of white women voting for her. Most of the black men are not going to vote for her. And now there's a portion of the black women that ain't going to vote for her. That spells disaster. And I would even argue that I think that's the strategy. I think the Democrats understood that they're not going to win this election because of what happened to Trump. The attempt on his life pushed him to another stratosphere. And what they don't want to do is they don't want Biden to lose to Trump. They don't want any other candidate to lose to Trump that they could have run in 2028. They don't want that loss under their belt. So what they're doing is they're sticking Kamala out there to take that L. They're sticking her out there to take that L. Shout out to Jerome. He said, I told you this once before. You are officially the Black Rush Limbaugh. Keep cooking, AM. Appreciate you, bro. Shout out to Detroit 313. He said the black community is so invested in Democrat Party, they don't realize that the Democrats created created legislation bill called the KKK Act against black people, be sure they're following them blindly. Yeah, they want her to take that fall. They want her to take that fall. They want her to take that fall. Shout out to 4K TV said the boomer men concern me. They still haven't had enough yet. The boomer men, let me tell you something about the boomer men. You can forget about the boomer men. And there's no point in arguing with the boomer men. Like, I used to sit there and argue with the boomer men, but you know what? I saw a video the other day, and when I saw this video, I said, you know what? I'm gonna stop arguing with boomers, right? This is the video I came across.
Just remember, when you're arguing with a boomer, you're actually arguing with the television, and the TV can't hear you, and it doesn't care. Just
My man said, just because he said, if you're arguing with a boomer, you're arguing with a TV. And the TV isn't listening and doesn't care. And that's true on so many levels. It's true because, number one, the boomers were raised by TV. They are the first generation to be kids with television and grow up with television. So you have to realize the impression that television made on boomers. Boomers believe anything they see on television. And I'm not talking about the fictitious shows. I'm not talking about the shows where there's fantasy or whatever. No. What I'm talking about is the news cycle and all of that stuff. In any of the stuff that has to do with news or whatever is presented on that television, the boomers believe it. In fact, I would argue that they are the first and only generation to believe everything they see on TV. See, by the time it got to us Gen Xers, we don't believe everything we see on TV because we've been lied to so much. Okay? We've been lied to so much that we don't see. We come from the generation where we sat there and watched Hillary Clinton sit up on TV and refer to us as super predators. So we know what time it is, right? We know what time it is. Shout out to Ari, said, always listening, forever supporting. Appreciate you. So it doesn't surprise me that they're pandering, right? The way they're pandering. In fact, Megan responded. Megan responded to the backlash, right? Let me see if I can find the video real quick. I want y'all to hear what she said. It was so utterly ridiculous. It was so ridiculous, bro. I'm talking about. I got it right here. Hold on, you guys. Check this out. Check this out. Megan responded to the backlash of her performing at the Atlanta rally, right? Oh yeah, and we got some other news about that Atlanta rally too.
So Megan Thee Stallion responds to criticism over her performance at the Kamala Harris rally. She said they was fake mad that I was popping it for Kamala, and I don't think they heard what she said. Kamala said she wants a ceasefire. Kamala says she supports women's rights. Kamala says she's tired of high-ass gas prices. Kamala said, I'm for the people. Hotties for Harris.
Now, let's read that again. Let's read that again. Oh yeah, by the way, let me put my sponsors up here on the screen. I'm bugging. My bad, y'all. But let's read that again. It says they was fake mad that I was popping it for Kamala. Am I the only one that sees something wrong with that statement? That she was popping it for Kamala? Don't that sound a little suspect? Like, it make you wonder, like, what y'all really got going on? So she said they was fake mad that I was popping it for Kamala. That's some other shit that's funny to me. How you gonna tell somebody they fake mad? How you gonna tell another person whether they angry or not? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that right there lets you know what her mentality is. Like, I'm just gonna completely dismiss all criticism, right? It was fake mad that I was popping it for Kamala, and I didn't think they heard what she said. Kamala said she wants a ceasefire. Well, if you wanted a ceasefire, why don't you do something about it? You're the current VP. You're in the current administration. Why don't you have a conversation with Joe about that? Kamala said she supports women's rights. Of course she does. Kamala says she's tired of high-ass gas prices. The gas prices became high under the current administration, which you are currently a part of, ma'am. Kamala said, I'm for the people. Hotties for Harris. Shout out to Mr. O. Mr. O said, you got to throw older Gen Xers in with boomers like D.L. Hughley, Van Jones, Roland Martin, Charlemagne, The Frog, and Tap Dance and Shoe Shiners. You right. You right.
I don't know how much they paid Megan, but they paid her good. But the thing is, people not even, really thinking about the fact that they showing you what they think of you. They like, man, these people don't give a damn about nothing. Only thing they want to do is shake ass, turn up, and have a good time. So by them having...
Do y'all want to do anything other than that? I can't tell. Can y'all tell? What did Cat Williams say? Cat Williams said this is going to be the year of everything getting exposed. The only thing this is doing is exposing what you niggas is really about. Again, every time one of y'all say they're showing you what they think of you. No, they're showing you what you are. That's all they're doing. They're not showing you what they think you are. They're showing you what you are. Don't try to get all dignified now that it's a presidential election. Like, what are we talking about here? Shout out to Detroit 313 said they don't say anything about policy from the left wing party.
They're performing and the audience looking confused. Like, what's really happening here? They're just showing you what they think of us as a community as a whole, as black people. That you don't care about nothing. Only thing you care about is entertainment. If you can be entertained. So I don't believe the performance got the reaction that she was wanting or expecting.
And see, here's the reality. The reality is this, right? Because I'm gonna tell you something we need to stop allowing black folks to do. Now, am I saying that every last black person out here is some trifling, ignorant Negro? No, I'm not. But what I am saying is that the black folks that found this rally ridiculous and insulting, that also don't listen to Meg Thee Stallion's music, that also feel that there is a problem with our culture right now, that portion of the black community is a small percentage. And what I'm tired of is every time these niggas get offended, they try to pretend like they're part of that portion of the black community. Have y'all noticed this? Have y'all noticed that the most ignorant of us, the ones that engage in the debauchery, the foolishness, all of that shit, the moment they feel offended, they want to hop the fence and pretend like they're well-to-do, intelligent, and they never was for the bullshit in the first place. I can't name how many ghetto, ratchet Negroes I see on TikTok talking about some, I've never been so offended in my life. Man, shut your ass up. I find it interesting that when white folk do something towards you or assume something about you, you're offended. Even though the thing that they're assuming about you is the shit you engage in on a regular basis. Why are you only offended when white folk call it out? Why are you only offended when presidential candidates display it? Why you ain't offended about it in your regular life? Why you ain't offended enough to stop doing it? You offended that Meg Thee Stallion was on stage twerking at a Kamala rally. Are you really offended? Or are you just a Kamala supporter and you know this looks bad on her? You don't give a damn about Meg twerking, because if you gave a damn about Meg twerking, she wouldn't be as popular as she is right now. If you gave a damn about Meg Thee Stallion being negative representation for the black community, you wouldn't be listening to her music. You wouldn't be buying nothing from her. You wouldn't be going to no shows and none of that shit. Right now, as we speak, Sukiana is popular. Glorilla is popular. Meg Thee Stallion is popular. So how you gonna tell us you don't like it? How you gonna tell us that ain't what you about? Well, that ain't us, Angryman. That's the music industry pushing it. That don't mean you gotta buy it. Even better yet, you know what you can do? You can boycott it. You can boycott it. What you can do is you can get some of these talking heads like the Roland Martins, who loves to show you his steps that he used to do when he was in college. The D.L. Hughley's that always got some shit to say with that bald ass upper lip. All these well-to-do Negroes, the Mark Lamont Hills and shit, why the hell ain't they speaking up and saying this should not be our representation? I tell you why they ain't speaking up, because them Negroes is bought and paid for. That's why they ain't speaking up. How is it the most well-to-do or supposed well-to-do niggas amongst you don't got a problem with Glorilla, don't got a problem with Meg Thee Stallion? Yo, shout out to Aaron again. Aaron said, how many black babies did Kamala delete before birth personally? How many of Willie Brown's? Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy, bruh. Shout out to Aaron. That's crazy, bro. Ooh, that's crazy. That's nasty work right there. Like, let's be real. You got all these well-to-do Negroes, and as much as they love to call out systemic racism, as much as they love to call out systemic oppression, as much as they love to continuously present the white man as a boogeyman, why do they not have a problem with the actual debauchery that black folks are voluntarily engaging in? Why doesn't Mark Lamont Hill have a problem with Meg Thee Stallion? Why doesn't Amanda Seales speak on Glorilla? Why? Why? K-Ball said AM cooking up barbecue Democrats. I need to understand this. Because guess what? When I was growing up, Tupac, Bone Thugs and Harmony, a lot of the rappers, they were nowhere near as bad as the rappers today. They were nowhere near as debaucherous as the rappers today. But guess what? During that time, Dionne Warwick had something to say. C. Dolores Tucker had something to say. There were countless black folk that were talking heads that had plenty to say. Plenty. But in this day and age, these Negroes ain't got nothing to say. They are complicit. They are complicit. And guess what? If you're going to sit back and ignore the gang violence in Chicago, the gang violence and gang culture in Chicago, the gang violence and gang culture in California, and everywhere else in the country, if you're going to sit back and ignore how these brothers are out here deleting themselves every day, if you're going to sit back and ignore how these rappers are getting deleted left and right, if you're going to sit back and ignore how these women are going down to Planned Parenthood to the tune of 360-some thousand a year, if you're going to ignore baby mamaism, you're going to ignore single mamaism, if you're going to ignore this debaucherous culture of music, if you're going to ignore the crap and the foolishness and the ignorance that you see on Shade Room every day, if you're going to ignore all of that, I don't want to hear shit about the white man. I don't want to hear nothing about racism. I don't want to hear nothing about systemic nothing. If you ain't willing to call out your own people, shut the hell up about other people. That's just the facts. That's just the facts. I don't want to hear it. Because you've been using the white man as your excuse for so long that look at what you got right now. Look at what you got right now. Look at what you got right now. And then we supposed to believe, that you got a problem with Meg Thee Stallion going out there on that stage. Y'all think we stupid. Do y'all think we stupid? You know you don't have a problem with Meg Thee Stallion. Hell, you said it. You said it in the videos. You literally said, this Negro right here gonna say it. Watch. Watch him.
No respecting, but it just goes to show people are actually waking up, though. Because if we was, all the way gone, we wouldn't have seen no reactions like we should have expected from that. You know what I'm saying? At a presidential debate, speech, rally, whatever the case may be, that is definitely not, the time for that. It's a time and place for it. We ain't gonna act like we don't like to turn up and have fun and do things, but it's a time and place for it. I don't go to church looking for a goddamn, you know what I'm saying, no twerking and all that going on in church, even though I don't go to church like that. I barely go to church, but just saying, the environment. We looking to see what you...
I don't go to church looking to see people twerking and stuff like that. There's a time and a place for everything. And, I really don't go to church like... I don't go to church to see people twerking. But I don't really go to church like that anyway. Do y'all hear this shit? The lowly one said, you are what you repeatedly do. I'm going to rewind that back just a little bit. Just listen to the logic.
Place for it. I don't go to church looking for a goddamn, you know what I'm saying, no twerking and all that going on in church, even though I don't go to church like that. I barely go to church, but just saying, the environment. We looking to see what the hell you gonna do. Talk about how you gonna better the community, what type of facilities, what type of
how the hell they supposed to better the community with you niggas in it? I'm sorry. That was an outburst. That was me thinking out loud. Y'all forgive my outburst. Anyway.
What you gonna do to help the single mothers? How can we get black families and families back together? Because Kamala Harris, the Democrats, they support families being broken up. The only way a woman can get Section 8 food stamps and all those different benefits from the government is if a black man don't live in the household. So it's a lot of things that, people just overlook. The gas prices and stuff. Kamala she was the vice president. She was in the background for 3-4 years. What she been doing the whole time with all that stuff. So it's like...
Twerking. That's what she was doing the whole time. Twerking.
Go with what they see in front of them. If they see a little familiarity, they gonna go with that. Same thing with the video.
Familiarity? Okay.
Video and footage. Look it up. I would post it here, but they'll try to flag me. But Kamala specifically said out of her own mouth that she's not going to lie and sit here like she's going to do anything specifically for the black community. No, I'm not. But y'all can do things specifically for people that's not even a part of a part of us. Illegal immigrants can come over here and get more benefits than the person that's been over here their entire life. They can start businesses way faster than you and get $10,000 loans and all this craziness. But y'all got it though. Much love.
Now, we're going to talk about that as far as the migrants coming over here and getting more stuff than people that's already been here. We're going to get into that in the second segment of this show. Shout out to Steve, and he said, great show, AM. I got into an argument with my black male boomer father right after Trump got shot at, and he was upset. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. All you gotta do is ask one of them why they don't like Trump. They never have a solid answer. Shout out to Frame Run. He said Joe has made some serious blockbuster trade that could affect America. Yeah, my pops can't stand Trump. My pops and my mother. My mother and father cannot stand Trump. They hate his guts. Shout out to K-Boss. K-Boss said AM cooking. Already read that one. Thought I saw another one. I saw another. But yo, before we get into this next segment, I need 10 people to hit the Cash App and support the show. I need 10 people to hit the Cash App and support the show. Now we got to talk about the migrants getting all of this help and all of this assistance. There's a video that came out showing a receipt from a Venezuelan woman who went to a bodega to buy something in New York. And she left her receipt. And the balance on it was crazy. Balance on it was out of this world. Shout out to Eva for the membership. Appreciate it. Shout out to Ramel said, I'm not going to do anything strictly for black people. No. Shout out to ESS Munch. He said, I'm in here, learn, soaking up game. Shout out to Matthias. I think that's how you pronounce it. Shout out to EE Truth said, great show, AM. I'll catch the replay of the show during my 90-minute cardio session tomorrow. Supporting the show. Appreciate you. Shout out to Aaron again. Aaron said, 1996, How Do You Want It? Got the lyrics in front of me. Election year, Bob Dole, Bill Clinton, Tupac in the chorus, dissed them both. Dole for being a pushover and Clinton for wearing political blackface. Dole was a disappointment to Tupac because as a Gen X man, he wanted what we call conservative solutions. There's other Gen X era male rappers that put similar messages in their lyrics too, if you pay close attention. Yeah, I remember he said Bill Clinton, Mr. Bob Dole. Yeah, I remember that. Let's see. Let's get my man Aaron up here on the board for being a sponsor. Collectively, he done dropped 100. Appreciate you, bro. Let's see. There we go. Shout out to K-Boss. He said, F that AM. We here for the truth. Say your stuff. No doubt, bruh. Shout out to Abdul. Appreciate you. Shout out to K-Boss again. He said, you the reason I'm getting my YouTube channel going. That's what's up, man. Hey, turn up. Turn up. We need more content creators. We need more people spitting the truth. Turn up. Turn up. So, to go into this topic, and by the way, man, hit the like button. You guys get the likes up. Get the likes up. Get the likes up. Hit the Cash App. Support the show. All of that good stuff. I I want to preface this topic with something that I was going to do it in a YouTube short, but a short is only a minute. And I felt like a minute was not going to be long enough for me to express my disappointment and my distaste for what I see going on in America right now, right? With these migrants. I even thought about doing a dedicated live stream where all I talked about was that particular situation. So let me preface it like this, right? Many of you that have watched my content on a regular basis, you know that I was raised by my grandmother, right? Most of y'all know this, right? Just to give you a little more backstory, in the 80s when I was a kid, I was being raised predominantly by my grandmother. My father was definitely in my life. He was a fixture in my life. But I spent most of my time with my grandmother, as did a lot of Gen Xers, right? Now, in the 80s when I was a young boy, I had a real grandmother. In other words, when I was a kid, my grandmother was already in her 70s. Right? Now, I want you to keep in mind that my grandmother worked the majority of her life. Hardworking woman, right? Dedicated woman. At one point, the house that my grandmother lived in was damaged by a really bad storm. The roof was messed up, right? My grandmother had to take money that she had saved in order to repair the roof and, things of that nature. So by the time I was in the picture and my grandmother was raising me, my grandmother lived on a fixed income. She had to live solely off of her Social Security, right? And during the 80s, around that time, Social Security check was only going to be a few $100s, right? So even though we had the benefit of the house being paid for, and during the 80s, if you remember, things were not super expensive. You feel what I'm saying? As far as energy costs and groceries and things of that nature, but things were still tight. So one day, my grandmother reluctantly decided to go and see if she qualified for food stamps. The woman at the office, with a straight face, told my 70-some-year-old grandmother, woman too old to work, a woman on a fixed income of only a few $100s a month, that she qualified for $10 in food stamps. $10. Fast forward to today, and I hope and pray that this is not. I hope that this is somebody trolling. I hope that this is not authentic. But I came across a video and in the video, there is a photo of a receipt. It says, my friend was behind a Venezuela woman, I think she meant Venezuelan, in line at a store. The woman left her receipt. If you look at the receipt, it shows the EBT food stamp balance. It shows the EBT card balance. I didn't even know that, the EBT cash balance. I didn't even know EBT gave out cash. I didn't even know that. I didn't know they put physical money on an EBT card. I didn't know that. The balance is $13,400. The food stamp balance is $13,401.82. The cash balance is $4,498.85. Now, I have a question. If this is real, I don't know if it's real. Just came across it, and it makes me want to throw up. It makes me physically ill. Knowing the way my grandmother worked her ass off for the majority of her life. A law-abiding, God-fearing woman. Worked the majority of her life. Born in this country. Salt of the earth. Her and all of her siblings were all hardworking people. They were only willing to offer her $10 a month. And here you have a person that wasn't born in this country. A person that wasn't born in this country. A person that has not paid anything into this system. They ain't paid no taxes. They haven't paid no Social Security. $13,000 in food stamps. $4,000 in cash. And you know what I'm wondering? This is what I'm wondering. Oh my God. One, was this a one-time payment or is this a monthly thing? And if it is a monthly thing, this is one person out of millions. Millions. And you can't put this shit on Trump because if this is true, Trump would never do this. Not in a million years would he do it. $13,000 in food stamps, $4,000 in cash when you literally have military veterans sleeping under bridges. Military veterans with missing limbs standing on the off ramps of freeways. With signs saying, fought for my country, now disabled. Can you spare some change? I have friends and family members that went to war for this country. It came back different, came back with all kinds of mental and physical issues. And they have to struggle. You got people coming to this country ain't even supposed to. They ain't even supposed to be here. And they're giving them our wealth. What you work for, what you pay in taxes. They're giving them our wealth. They're giving away our children's birthright. Shout out to Auntie Mickey. Said, you just told the exact same story that happened to my father back in the early 2000s. Military vet at that. 10 is all he qualified for. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Most haters said, literally buying the vote. Disgusting. Shout out to D. Prez. They're letting people come into this country illegally and then rewarding them once they get here. That person ain't got to work. They ain't got to work. You coming from a third world country into America with $5,000 a month in cash, over $13,000 a month in food stamps. Why would you have to work? Why would you have to work? And all of this happened under Joe Biden's administration. But you got Kamala Harris sitting up there talking about the black vote. You got Kamala Harris sitting up there talking about she's for the people. Really? That's interesting. That's interesting. And see, they try to make it seem like, look, Kendra said, Trump said they are in luxury hotels and getting all of this money, our money in food stamps, super foul. Yeah, they'll try to make it seem like Trump is lying. They'll try to make it seem like, oh, Trump is exaggerating. What are they going to do next? Give them houses? Give them cars? Shout out to the lowly one. He said it's like that scene in First Blood where he said, when I was a soldier, I was in charge of equipment worth millions. Meanwhile, I come home and can't get a job parking cars. Wasn't Rocky one of the, not Rocky, wasn't Rambo one of the saddest damn movies you ever seen? You got to think about it for a second. Like, he's walking down the street with a military jacket on that's got an American flag on it, and the cop stops him and it says, you know, wearing that jacket with that patch on it, You know, it says a lot about you. And he was saying it in a negative way. Like, talk about anti-American. Like, it's been right there in front of our face this entire time. It's been right there in front of our face this entire time. Movie Dead Prayers, when they end up robbing that place, and then he gets in front of the judge, and the judge tells him, I'm not going to let you use your military background as an excuse. You're not gonna taint the service that way. And plus, I was in a real war. What? It's been right there in front of our face this entire time. $13,000. 13,000. There is nobody on this planet that's gonna spend $13,000 in food a month. Nobody. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. You could have 10 kids in your house. You're not gonna spend no $13,000 in food. It's gotta be fake. Gotta be. It gotta be. It gotta be. When I first saw this, my stomach started hurting. When I first saw this, I got sick to my fucking stomach. I got sick to my fucking stomach when I saw it. I wanted to throw up. All the struggling I done did in my life. Times I done been a kid with nothing to eat. Like it really puts you at a loss for words. It really puts you at a loss for words. Like when you look at the way they're taking care of these migrants, you gotta ask, fellas, you gotta ask yourself this question. Why are you paying child support? Why are there so many homeless people? Why is it so many people can't buy a house? Shout out to Robert. He said, what up, AM? I go to the grocery store just to get a few items to last me for a week, and it's $200-300 easy. We can barely get bank loans, and now this. Bruh, every time I buy something through Instacart, it's $100. Even if it's just a few items. Even if it's just a few items, it's $100. I seen a video. I seen a video by this guy, and I wish I would have saved it. The guy was in the grocery store, and he looked at a bag of chips that was 5 something, right? And he said, "What the hell is going on?" He said, "Why does a bag of chips cost more than a gallon of gas? And you ignorant, foolish, raggedy individuals want to seriously consider voting for Kamala?" The fact that anybody would even fix their brain to say out of their mouth that they're going to vote for anybody that played any role in the past 4 years is lunacy. It is lunacy. And look, I'm going to tell you something right now, because there's a lot of people that watch me. There's a lot of family members that watch me. There's a lot of friends that watch me. I'm telling you right now, I want you to see my face when I say this. If you are considering voting for Kamala Harris, never speak to me again. And I'm dead serious. Never speak to me again. Stay the fuck away from me. Stay the hell away from me. Just stay away from me. Stay away from me. Don't speak to me. Leave me the fuck alone for the rest of ever. I seen somebody on my Facebook, my personal Facebook, they posted a picture that was a collage that had the White House in the background. It had Dr. King, Barack Obama, and Kamala Harris, and they put the caption, "I love this." I immediately unfriended them. Immediately unfriended them, because if you think that there's anything good about Kamala Harris, you are one of the dumbest people in existence. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. Because what it means is you're too damn inept to even understand what is going on around you in your daily life. If you can't see the contrast between when Trump was in office and when Biden is in office, there's no help for you. There's nothing that can be done. Shout out to In Christ Alone, said Trump 2024. There's nothing that can be done for you. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I tell you something else too. All you Negroes are saying, "Oh, I can't believe they had Meg Thee Stallion out there. Can't believe it. Can't believe they had Meg Thee Stallion out there." But you know, I don't have a problem with Meg Thee Stallion. Let me tell you something. If you're a fan of Meg Thee Stallion, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's how I feel. And I know people are going to say that's extreme. Well, guess what? I'm not in no position to make that happen. So it's just an opinion. Get over it. Get over it. But yo, before we go any further, I got one more thing I got to talk about. Before we go any further, yo, I need 10 people to hit the Cash App and support the show, man. I see we got one. Shout out to Terrible Ivan. He said, "I hear you, Unc. I'm going Cornell West." Appreciate you, bro. I I need 10 people to hit the Cash App and support the show, man. Yo, shout out to Daniel says, speak the truth. They need it harshly. We need 10 people to hit the Cash App and support the show. We need 10 people to hit the Cash App and support the show.
No weapon for
Yo, shout out to excuse me, my bad. Shout out to Gary. Said mom called, asked if I was voting for Kamala, shaking my oh my God. Yo, these boomers gotta go. These boomers gotta go, bruh. They gotta go. Shout out to LG. Appreciate you. I don't know how to pronounce your first name, so I ain't gonna butcher it. I'm gonna just do your initials, LG. Shout out to Caesar. He said, thanks, fam. Like, these boomers gotta go, bro. They got to go. They got to go. They gotta go. This is what they look like voting for Kamala Harris. This is what y'all look like. That's what y'all look like voting for Kamala Harris. That's what you look like. On some, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Shout out to Norman. He said, as an American, it's a slap in the face. You got that shit right. Shout out to Aaron. He said, last one for the day. My current driving gig has me down in southern New Mexico on the Permian Basin oil field, the largest oil field in the U.S. Most of the wells are capped. 5 years ago, they couldn't drill them fast enough. 2 causes of inflation: capped wells and money machine printing like crazy. Yep. That's facts. That's facts right there. That's facts. Shout out to Born Majesty. Said, I think they're getting vehicles also because every time I take an Uber is someone who just got into the country, can barely speak English, and driving a brand new Tesla. Wow. Crazy. Shout out to the terrible Ivan. Shout out to In Christ Alone. Shout out to Akiak. He said that EBT receipt is definitely real. They're papering them up in Chicago too and giving them secret job fairs and everything. I suspect these corporations are buying up all these properties to put the migrants in. Crazy. Shout out to Focus. He said Trump Senate term limit sold me. Yeah. Yeah, that's facts. If we had Senate terms, this mess wouldn't even be going on. This mess wouldn't even be going on, bro. This crap wouldn't even be going on. But the last thing that I want to talk about. Let's see. Because I want to show you an example of something. Watch this.
This, y'all. This is why. This is why. This is why. Cause what? 3 carts full, y'all. Let me pass her a receipt. This joint said, y'all, they didn't even buy it, and that's what making me even more mad. And everything won't even rung up yet, y'all. $1,013. This is why. This is why I be mad at work. This is why I don't want to work on the 1st, or the 2nd, or the 3rd, or the 4th.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, I already know this is an EBT purchase. And the reason why I know this is an EBT purchase is because of the telltale signs, right?
Y'all, this is why.
Right there. The Gatorade, the ramen noodles, right? The snacks. Look at that. Fanta. This ain't nothing but junk food.
This is why.
Look at that. Ramen noodles, the good humor ice cream bars. This is EBT.
This is why. Cause what? 3 carts full, y'all.
Look at that shit. Them easy. Look.
Let me see.
Look. Them microwavable meals and shit. The packs of chicken. CBT right here. Look, charcoal. These niggas is cooking out. Cooking out. Cooking out. You got folks that can barely buy food and they out here having a whole smorgasbord. They out here having a whole smorgasbord with tax-free money. Nosy by Nature said, I like that, AM. If you even think about voting for a scammer, don't look at me, talk to me, nothing to me for the rest of ever. Yep. That mean that even after we gone from here and we're in the afterlife in heaven, don't even approach me then. If we're floating, if we're balls of energy floating in the universe, still not talking to you. Get away from me. Shout out to Kish said, Tyrese, baby mama can spend $13,000 a month. What more do you want from me? Like, this is crazy. And look, this is what makes it so bad. Watch this. And they don't even realize we should have been got rid of that freaking food stamp program. If we would have got rid of that food stamp program, these migrants wouldn't have no damn food stamps. But watch this. Watch this. This is why we can't get rid of it. Watch this.
Y'all know that starting September 1st, a lot of people ain't gonna be able to get food stamps no more. Watch this video to the end.
Starting September 1st, SNAP recipients ages 18 to 50 who don't work or volunteer 20 hours a week could lose benefits.
This is literally just an excuse to take food out of people's bellies. First, the grocery.
This is an excuse to take food out of people's bellies. Take your ass to work and change that damn battery in that smoke alarm. I'm telling you, we need to clean shop in this country. We need to clean shop in this country. We need to get all of these migrants that are mooching off of this country illegally the hell up out of here. And we need to get all of these lazy, shiftless, raggedy folk on the government tit off of it. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. That's the problem with the country. There's too many freeloaders in here. That's the problem. There's too many freeloaders. Might as well to get rid of the food stamps. How they gonna feed the babies? Nobody told you to have a bunch of babies. that you knew you couldn't take care of. Shout out to In Christ Alone. He said, preach. I'm sorry. I don't have, look, let me tell you something. The way I have struggled in my life, I don't got no sympathy. I've been homeless. I've had nowhere to go. And looked around and there were no shelters for men that were decent enough to stay in. Every shelter that they have for men is rampant with hepatitis and every other foul thing you could think of. There's no such thing as a good homeless shelter for men. If they catch you staying in you know those storage units that are climate controlled, if they catch you staying in a storage unit, you'll get in a world of shit. Meanwhile, folks that ain't even supposed to be here getting handed a bag the moment they come across the border illegally. You got places where they will freaking lock you up for sleeping in your car. And you explain to me how you got Kamala and the rest of the Democrats talking about people coming here through the border without being processed is not a crime. People coming here illegally is not a crime. I find that convenient considering the fact that now in the state of California, it's a crime to be homeless. So let me make sure I understand this straight. A bunch of people coming from South America, Mexico, Venezuela, and God only knows where aren't committing a crime when they cross the border legally. But American citizens who are struggling are committing a crime if they're homeless? The fact that they would even do that in a blue state should tell you you shouldn't be voting blue. Shout out to Kiss said there are a lot of free programs helping people to get OSHA and become construction workers, especially in NYC. Ninjas need to stop being lazy. Yeah. But they don't want to do, you know why niggas don't want to do that? Because niggas don't want to work no real jobs. They don't want to work, well, not real jobs. They don't want to work manual labor jobs. That's what they are. Let me tell you something. Yep. Never blue again. I will never vote blue for the rest of my life. Never. I'll never do it. I will never do it. I'll never do it. Sure won't. I sure will not. I will never do it. I will never do it. Shout out to Marshall. Appreciate you. But yo, I got to get up out of here, man. Shout out to AJ. He said, bro, I got your 6. Appreciate you. I got to get up out of here, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Oh, my God. That receipt, bro. Sweet Jesus. That receipt has me livid, fam. That receipt got me heated, bro. Heated. You hear me? But yo, y'all already know what it is, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning into the show, listening to what I had to talk about today. Make sure you go over and check out my book on Amazon, The Angryman Standard, Traditional Relationship Solutions for the Modern Man. All you have to do is type The Angryman Standard in the search bar on Amazon, or you can click the link in the description. Make sure you go over and check out the merchandise on BINONation.com. We do got some new shirts coming. You feel me? So be on the lookout for that. But other than that, man, I appreciate every last one of you guys for tuning in. It is what it is. Salute to the sponsors and salute to all the BINOs, man. I'ma holler at you guys later.
Spartans! What is your profession?